Welcome everybody, this is Commander Ramsey with yet another video on German battleships, going through a series, and this video will feature the Anhalt. This ship is really kind of fun, but it's unusual. You'll notice it's very long, and its distinguishing feature is that it actually has 5 main battery turrets for a total of 15 barrels, which is very unusual. The gun caliber is more along the size of a heavy cruiser like the Alaska at Tier 9. But Anhalt does come with the typical German secondaries concerning its range. And I first tried setting this ship up on typical accuracy and distance on secondaries, but after several battles I found that her main battery accuracy was a little worse than you would expect, even as compared to the Bismarck. So I went ahead and changed the ship settings to improve the main battery accuracy, which even with that, the accuracy is not that great, but it is better than setting the ship up for full secondaries. I will have the ship and commander build at the end of the video, as usual, and hope you'll appreciate that. In this game, I decided that I'd move forward. One of the distinguishing marks of this large battleship is she does set low in the water, so her detectability is quite good, only just a little over 12 kilometers, which these days most battleships come in around 14 to 15 and a half, so she's got good detectability, which can enable you to position yourself in an advantageous situation. Here I'm going over to the left. You might notice in the game there's only one destroyer per side and one submarine, so this is going to come down to how well the cruisers can position themselves to take out those destroyers and subs. So at this point I decide I'm going to stay close to the home base, given looks like many of my friendlies are going to the left and right. And right away I've got the you also may notice we've got 2 CVs per side, plus the enemy team has a Nebraska hybrid, so there's going to be planes all over the place in this battle. So I'm using my spotter plane, hoping to get a few shots off in the distance. Had a few hits there. I believe that was on the Bismarck. There's quite a few targets here, so I start positioning myself over here, slow down. And I noticed that the enemy Bismarck is going to run headlong into the island. So I thought, well, I've got him dead to right. So I aim right for the middle and let all 15 guns go, thinking I was going to get several shots, maybe some heavy deep penetrations. But I only got 1 penetration, 2 non-penetrations, and 4 ricochets. So there you got the smaller gun caliber having a unfortunate effect. I'm trying AP out here at the beginning of the game to see how she's going to do. Got another good volley off on the Bismarck, hoping that I'll get a good few hits here on her. And unfortunately, no. That's about as easy as it gets from distance with the spotter, so you can see the accuracy there of the Anhalt is somewhat wanting. Even with 15 guns, you would think I'd get a little lucky there and get 1 or 2 penetrations in. So I try once again with AP. I've read on this ship the best you can hope to do on a lot of these heavy battleships is to get some penetrations in the upper portion of the ship, and again only 1 decent penetration there. I'm continuing my experiment, thinking, well, it's either me or the ship's accuracy, or both. I try her again on the Bismarck. He's probably wondering where in the world all these shells are coming from. There I finally got 4 penetrations, so I got some good hits finally. Then I noticed the Alabama is coming up quickly. So I try to position myself here for the shot. My spotter plane is returned to the ship, taking a break. I didn't really have a good clear shot there. I'm using my blue camo I've been kind of standardizing on. I think it probably provides a good, helpful mirage, if you will. The enemy's looking at a ship with blue camo all over it on a blue ocean. You don't get the programmed benefit in the code, but I thought, well, you know. So I've been using the blue for quite a while, and I see the Nebraska came into range, so I let a few shells fly toward her, having a very large superstructure. But again, very poor, only got 2 shells out of 15, and that may have been my fault. I may not have led the ship far enough, plus she is at a good angle. Decided to hold my fire there temporarily because couldn't get any hits. My spotter plane is back up. I'm surprised that the CVs haven't attacked me anymore. I'm by myself, and being a CV player, that's a great way to catch a battleship off guard. Then I notice off to my right, I'm a little slow. The enemy's trying to penetrate over here on the right flank, and I thought, well, I can put some damage on this Massachusetts. It's looking really good, and only 2 penetrations. At some point here, I'll switch over to HE and thought, well, AP's not doing that well. I'm getting a lot of ricochets, non-penetrations, and so I thought, well, I'll try HE. See if I can go the route of setting fires on some of these heavier battleships. My friendlies take out the Massachusetts, and then I come back over here, and I've noticed I've got another. I got the Alabama moving up, and Cleveland warming up in the bullpen. So I'll launch HE shells. And I get a good fire started. So right away I start racking up some damage there. Thought I better slow down here. Any ships passing through my field of view here, I'll be able to get a good shot at. My spotter plane is already ready. Here I notice the Kid has made a run toward one of our battleships. I take a pot shot on him just to let him know, there's somebody else aiming at him. I do get a fire starter. I forgot that on the Kid, but I think he used his repair party pretty quickly. Maybe my friendly cruiser, the Hipper, will get him. The Cleveland here's I only used a couple guns here because I figured the Cleveland would put it in reverse and burn rubber. It's amazing how quickly these ships back up in this game. You gotta love it. All right, take a couple of my other 3 turrets in the back. I fire on the other destroyer coming up. Not destroyer, I'm sorry, I got distracted. Battleship. It's the Bismarck. There's 2 Bismarcks in this game. I let my other turrets fly. I think I had behind him on the last volley. There, I got another fire started. And there's Cleveland sticking out, taking a risk. Why he turns toward me is, I guess he thinks he's got the number. His shells only being 150, they're going to bounce off of me. He's trying to hit the sides of my ship. Go ahead and get my secondaries trained on him, and they start opening up on him. I've already got 2 hits, and I did reduce my dispersion when I went for the improvement in main battery, but my secondaries are starting to hit him pretty good. And then my main battery opened up at him. Again, more ricochets. Overpins. Anything but a real solid hit, you know. And then I notice all of a sudden, here's the kid over here. I'm thinking, oh, great. And, you know, the one weakness of the Anhalt is, the glaring weakness, is it doesn't have the typical German hydro. For whatever reason, I guess Kriegsmarine couldn't afford it to put it on every battleship they had. It's a joke. I get a few good hits on the kid. I know he's going to be launching his extremely slow torpedoes my way, so kind of throwing broadside here to distant battleship, but my goal here is to kind of put some of my ship out of the field of view. Same time, I know the Cleveland's over there radaring me, but I don't care. The Nebraska is over there. I'm just trying to make sure I'm clear of those oncoming torpedoes, which I believe will be showing up. I figure the Cleveland's dead meat because he's surrounded by friendlies. 2 aircraft carriers to his left. Of course, Cleveland doesn't have torpedoes, so I wasn't really too worried about him. Now I start seeing some secondary fire coming in over the island and thinking, oh, that's probably one of the Bismarcks, and there he pops up behind the island and kind of not at a good situation, but the Anhalt, remember, has 3 main battery turrets in the back, and so I'm trying to keep the broadside of my ship away. At this point I think I'm in real trouble because I'm getting focus fired. But I noticed my repair party's coming up, and also my heel. So I'm launch a couple volleys there at him with my rear guns, get some good hits on him, and another fire. My secondaries. I'd switched back over to my AP, by the way. Just in time, my heel was available. So the Bismarck and I are having a good old-fashioned brawl here. And which one will win? This was probably the most exciting part about this particular game. I'm waiting for my rear 3 guns again. Not quite enough, and then my front 2. I have a lot more guns than he does, and that finishes him off. I sound the horn of victory after that great brawl. So my hats off to the Bismarck player. You did great. So at this point, we've taken the lead pretty good. The game's looking pretty good. But the kid is still out there circling. I wish wargaming would allow battleships to utilize the radio location skill. It's not like these huge capital ships didn't have the first radars. They did. And there's the kid. Try to put in a couple shots on him there. Couldn't tell how fast he was moving. I know he's out of torpedo range at this point, so I'm not too worried about that. So I start to back up, because I figured he's probably going to try to camp out there and try to grab our flag. My heel's coming up again. My friendly CVs are giving the kid the what for. He's having to dodge. Kind of placed my shots at varying arcs, depending on which way he was going. but couldn't quite get any shells in on him. He was taking an evasive maneuver to try to get away from the fish that the CVs had laid down. Alright, my health's looking a little better there. Almost bought the farm with low credit. Alright, there's the kid again popping up. He's getting spotted, so I put in a few Hail Mary shots on him there. Trying to help out my CV players. And my cruiser, I do get an overpin on him. Letting him know I'm still here. A couple more shots. The Anhalt is a fairly decent ship to tank with. A couple reasons. One, it sets so low in the water. Two, it has a lot of guns, so if you're brawling up short to mid-range, it's pretty effective. Long range, it suffers from poor accuracy, which is not unusual for the German battleship line, but even maximizing its improvement in dispersion is not the biggest help in the world. And the fact that it doesn't have hydro, you've got to really be on your toes when you're around ships that have torpedoes. Alright, we've got the advantage here. The kid and the Aquila are down really low on health. I don't know what happened to their sub. I didn't have to use my airstrike, depth charge. And they're highlighting the kid again, just in time. I've got my spotter plane ready. I launched my spotter, thinking, you know, if you quit zigzagging there, I'll try to get a good shot on you, but he's going to get out of my gun range. And he disappears again. I let off a couple Hail Mary shots. So the kid's the only one alive. Again, at the end of the match here, I've got the ship build and the commander skills. I'll show those to you. There's another good look at that multiple blue camo. Kind of sounding the horn of victory there finally. I'm not sure. I guess the Aquila is circling back to go after our Bismarck. I thought he might be coming my way. And he highlights the kid again. Take off a few shots over there. I'm worried I'm going to come behind the island, and I wish I had led him better. I probably could have gotten him. They landed just right there behind him. Thinking, ah, well, that'll be my last shot on him. But all of a sudden he comes to a quick stop behind the island here. And I'm thinking, oh great, just stop right there, buddy. I'll let my next volley go. But notice my spotter plane came to an end and one of my friendlies took him out. So that was a good game. Again, a little over 100,000, nothing special, but it did kind of showcase the Anhalt, its pros and cons for you. I used the spotter plane as much as I could for mid to long range, and even with 15 guns, it's found wanting. So not a big surprise. As far as the team results, I still managed to come in fourth on my team. Good base XP there, which you'll see will be quite handy on building up commander skills. Look at there, our sub player. He came in third, so I complimented them. This was an interesting game because you had, on the enemy side, you had 2 aircraft carriers and one of the new hybrid Nebraska ships. There's the damage on the Bismarck, 69,000. That was a lot of damage. You can see the secondary damage wasn't a lot, at only about 3,500. Fires were only 1,246, so most of it was main battery shells. Alabama, some minor damage. Cleveland, a little bit of damage. And see the almost 5,000 damage in secondaries. About half the damage was in secondary. So the Anhalt still has reasonable accuracy, even without a full secondary build, which was quite interesting in my opinion. The Kid, you can see I got a little bit of damage on him, only 3 secondary shots. The other Bismarck, so-so, and the other Massachusetts there didn't get much damage on the Nebraska, unfortunately. I wanted to see how that worked. Secondary-wise, overall, only about 9,000 damage, but I wasn't playing a close-in battle except for the Bismarck that one time, and they really didn't have much effect on him. Armor piercing 77,000, HE only about 11,000, fires only about 12,000. Results of you notice I got about a little over 30,000 Commander XP, which is quite good, and most of that, of course, all that's elite. But now I'll go here and show you the ship build. I only set 4 fires because I only used HE on a limited basis and not much brawling there. Alright, let's look at the build. There's the typical build, but for a German battleship in the 3rd slot here, I went for the aiming systems mod 1 because I had been trying the secondary battery mod 1, but that just wasn't working well for this ship. So I think the best mod for this one is the aiming systems mod. That's pretty standard there. Now I use the torpedo lookout system for this ship simply because you don't have hydro and you're going to need all the help you can get. I do choose the spotter plane, and you can see my signal build there. Pretty standard for most of my battleship configurations. But even without the secondary mod 1, the distance, you still got 10-kilometer secondaries firing at 2.9 seconds. And there's your big Commander XP blue bonus flag, as I call it. And here's your build for Lutyens again. I move him around. It helps quite good getting those 15 guns around. I kept these 2 skills, of course, for distance and some dispersion help. Basics of survivability and concealment works really good on this ship because you can get it down to 12 kilometers. And fire prevention expert, which I'm not fully sold on that one. I haven't had much luck with that in some of the battles I've been in. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this battle. Come back and tune in again. I'll continue this German battleship series.